On a family trip with my husband and daughter, I woke up trapped in a deep mountain crevice. No phone, no water, no way out. He took our daughter and left me there to die. I didn't. I did this. 4 days later, the police were at his door. He always knew how to say the right things. Calm. Convincing. Without pressure, just enough that you agreed, so you wouldn't seem hysterical. It's for the kid, he said. We don't have to part as enemies. And you nod. Because it sounds reasonable. Because he's smiling. Because you're too tired to fight, even with your face. I said yes. The 3 of us went to the mountains, as if it were just a pause. A breath of air before the official ending. Tent. Stove. Rocks. The mountain road, and him humming behind the wheel. I even let myself believe maybe he really wanted to end it like a grown-up. Peacefully. And then I woke up on a rock. Not on a mattress. Not in the tent. On stone. Alone. Dust and a hard slope under my back. A narrow strip of sky above. Rock walls all around me. Like someone made a fist and left me inside it. My nose burned from the dry air. No bag. No phone. No water. 1 sneaker. The left one. The right one was gone. I sat up fast, too fast. My head was pounding. My throat dry like I'd swallowed sand. Shoulders aching. My hand scraped. Rock, most likely. Someone had dragged me here and dumped me. Not someone. Him. No yelling. No drama. No, you brought this on yourself. Just a smile. A cup of tea. Then, let's take a walk. I want to show you something. Then the heaviness in my limbs. The blur. I can't even remember what he said exactly. His voice was soft. Steady. Almost tender. Just some fresh air. A little walk. Like we used to. I took a breath. It only hit the back of my throat. Tried again. Deeper. Still dry, but I was breathing. Alive. That already made things inconvenient for him. I tried to stand. My foot slipped. The rock scraped skin. I swore. Silently. Dragged myself to the wall and looked around. No stairs. No rope. No path. Just a crevice. Not even the deepest, maybe 5 or 6 meters. But smooth walls. No ledges. He knew I wouldn't be able to climb out. He knew it in advance. I looked up. The sun cut into my eyes, slicing the sky open. The heat was building fast. The air wasn't moving. The stone under me warming like a stovetop. My nose stung. From heat. From fury. Maybe both. I needed shade. I spotted a shallow pocket in the rock. A half cave, narrow but shaded. I crawled inside. Scraped my knee. But at least there was shadow. My fingers had gone numb. My hands shook. My brain still hadn't fully caught up. This wasn't a joke. Wasn't a prank. Wasn't a dream. He did this. Drove me here. Knocked me out. Left me. I don't know how long I lay there under that rock shelf. An hour? 2. Eventually I crawled out. Not for escape. Just to keep from boiling in my own thoughts. I had to move. To do something. Anything. I started climbing. Just to see if I could. I couldn't. The wall was smooth. Like glass cut by hand. Nothing to grip. I slipped once, almost broke a finger. I backed down. Back into shade. Took off my sneaker. And saw the other one. It was a few meters above me, stuck on a narrow ledge in the rock. He hadn't noticed it fall. I smirked. He missed something. I crawled toward it, palms on stone like a lizard. Slow. Careful. 1 piece at a time. Knee. Elbow. Reach. Got it. Slipped it on. 2 shoes. Back in the game. Rule 1 of survival. Protect your feet. Thanks, asshole. You left me my shoes. I tied my hair back. Tore a sleeve off my sweatshirt. Wrapped my wrists. Tried again. 1/2 meter. Another. No more. The wall didn't change. No cracks. No steps. Just glassy stone. I could hang there. Shake. Slide. Almost broke the same finger again. I gave up. Crawled back down. The rock under me felt hot enough to fry an egg. I drank from a dip in the stone. Cloudy. Warm. Filthy. But it was water. And I was alive. That still counted. I sat in the shade. Closed my eyes. Tried to breathe slowly. His words played in my head on repeat. We can be civil, right? For Ellie's sake. You don't want to traumatize her. We don't have to make this ugly. And I believed him. I really did. I thought we'd say goodbye like adults. No mess. No war. For Ellie. Our 7-year-old daughter. She's with him now. And he's telling her Mom left. That Mom didn't want us anymore. I pulled my knees to my chest. Pressed my back into the wall. The sun dipped. Dark crept in. It got cold fast. For the first time that day, I didn't feel rage or pain. I felt fear. Quiet. Sticky. Bone deep. Coyotes howled somewhere far off. Shrubs rustled too sharply to be just wind. I stayed still. Curled up. Shaking under what was left of my sweatshirt. Imagining Ellie sleeping, arms stretched toward me. I didn't cry. Everything inside felt too dry for that. I didn't sleep. I just lay there, repeating the same thing in my head like a chant. I won't die here. I'll get out. On elbows, on teeth, whatever it takes. Because I have a daughter. And she's waiting for me. Night is the best time for self-torture. You're not busy surviving. No one's telling you what to do. You just lie there. In the cold. In the silence. With the sinking feeling that you might be the last idiot left on Earth. I tried to breathe through my nose. In. Out. Count to 5. Again. No one knew how many more of those I had left. The rock under my back was cold. Knees tucked under my chin. I could feel my body slowly losing heat. But more than anything, I couldn't let myself blur. Couldn't dissolve. Then the memories started. Not because I wanted them. They just came. My name is Molly. I'm 34. I live or lived in Pasadena, California. We met when I was 25. Kevin was 5 years older. Wore good shoes. Spoke like someone whose words should be written down. Back then I was in marketing. Startups. Deadlines. Black coffee. He consulted private clients on investments. He was calm. Reliable. He looked like someone whose life was alphabetized. On our third date he asked, "Do you even want a family?" I laughed. He didn't. Just looked at me. "Steady." I said, "Probably." He nodded. Never brought it up again. When my aunt died, I inherited an old house in San Jose. Peeling paint. Damp. Shingles falling off. I wanted to rent it out. He said we should sell. Market's good. Lots near Stanford are gold. We can invest it. I liked that word. He didn't push. Just offered. We sold it. 1.2 million. Mine. His contribution 0. But he handled the money. Wisely. Efficiently. Calmly. 2 years later we had a house. Then another. Accounts. Funds. A structure. He called it family capital. Our little holding company. It was almost sweet. Our daughter was born a year and a half after the wedding. Tiny. Drawn like a perfect sketch. I remember him holding my hand while I gave birth. He watched with the focus of someone reading a manual. No panic. No emotion. "You'll manage," he said. "Not we'll get through this. Not I'm here. Just you." And I did. I managed the birth. The nights. The crying. The everything. He was a good father. On paper. He paid. Showed up. Took her places. But something about him always felt empty. When I cried, he didn't yell. Didn't comfort. Didn't leave. He just sat. Waited. Like a man stuck watching a commercial he couldn't skip. He was there. But behind glass. He could shut down an argument with a single line. "Want some tea?" And I'd feel ridiculous for continuing. How do you scream at someone who offers you tea? Sometimes I wonder, were there signs? There were. I just didn't hear them. Or didn't want to. He hated losing. Even in board games. He'd laugh, but then go silent. Shut down for hours. Like locking himself in an office without windows. Money always came first. Even his love was measured. Contained. Like he was afraid of spending too much of it. He could be charming. Really charming. But sometimes it was like someone flipped a switch. 1 second present. The next gone. Not physically. Worse. Emotionally. Like a shell was sitting next to you. And the man had quietly left the building. We decided to divorce when Ellie turned 7. I told him, "I can't pretend anymore." He nodded. "You're right. That was it." No screaming. No door slamming. I moved into the guest room. He stopped bringing tea. The court ordered a split. House. Accounts. Investments. Everything 50-50. About 3.8 million total. He didn't argue. Didn't threaten. Didn't manipulate. And I thought, maybe he really was just grown up about it. Then he said, "Want to take a trip? With Ellie. Just to show her we're not enemies." Back then it sounded noble. Now I see it for what it was, premeditated. He wasn't unstable. He wasn't angry. He calculated. If someone disappears, there's nothing to divide. If a wife goes missing, court proceedings stop. Assets stay where they are. I wasn't a person. I was a negative number on his balance sheet. To subtract and move on. This family trip Kevin planned was hours from anything. Sand. Stone. No people. He picked the route himself. Somewhere between Zion and Bryce, he said. Quiet. No crowds. Just us and the stars. We drove nearly 8 hours from Pasadena. Ellie slept in the back seat. Kevin hummed to himself. Now I look back and see it for what it was. A prologue to something far darker. The second day of our vacation went perfectly. Ellie laughed. He grilled sausages. We drank tea. He sat next to me. Said, "I always respected you. Even when I was angry." I said something neutral. He smiled again. Poured me a second thermos of tea. On the third day, I woke up at the bottom of a rock crevice. He must have picked the spot ahead of time. He knew no one would find me there. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there. Cold stone under my back. Thin air. A hollow in my chest. I kept thinking of Ellie. Of what he was probably telling her now. Mom left. Or Mom needed time. She would believe him. She's 7. She still believes in dolphins, rainbows, and honesty. She'd wait. She'd think I walked away. That I abandoned her. I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't let him rewrite me in her head. At sunrise, I didn't wake up from the light, but from pain. Muscles cramped. Back sore. Fingers barely working. I stood up. Slow. Careful. Turned to face the wall again. This time right side. I'd tried the left yesterday. Nothing. But on the right, there was a crack. Narrow. But climbable. Above it, a jagged outcrop. A ledge. Not a path. But a way. I tore off my other sleeve. Wrapped my wrists. Pulled the sweatshirt over my head. Wrapped it around my forehead and neck. Shoes on. Still rubbing raw. But better than barefoot. I looked up. Inhaled. Go. The first few meters fine. My body still remembered how to move. Hands latched. Fingers slipped. I got angry. Anger helped. It meant I wasn't done yet. Then it got worse. The rock burned. My hands tore. Every pull felt heavier. I kept climbing. Grabbing whatever I could. Just up. Toward light. Halfway I slipped. Scraped my hand open. Saturday. Counted to 5. Kept going. By midday I reached a second ledge. Then another. Then another. Then a collapse, not down but in. The sun pounded the back of my skull. My knees bled. Fingers stopped bending. Pain was the only thing keeping me present. At some point, I blacked out. Just switched off. The heat slammed into my head like a hammer. I fell sideways. Cheek to dust. Woke up to ants. Tiny. Angry. One on my wrist. One on my neck. I jerked up. Black spots swam. I sat still. Counted to 10. Then 10 more. Then again. And climbed. The dirt crumbled under my feet. My fingers slipped. But I didn't fall. I climbed higher. And then. The horizon. Dust. Stone. Bushes. And. A trail. Dry. Broken. But a trail. I stood on it. Breathing. Both feet on solid ground. In both shoes. He thought I'd disappear. But I was standing. There was a trail. Dry. Faded. Like an old rope. Narrow, beaten, overgrown with thorns. But it was there. So I walked. At first, just from fear. Like if I stopped, I'd wake up back in that crevice. Like the stone under my back was still holding me. I moved on autopilot. Right. Left. Step. Breath. Keep going. No one. Not a soul. No footprints. Just dust. I didn't know where the trail led. Didn't matter. It went up. Forward. Not down like me. After a couple hours, I stopped feeling my legs. They were just things beneath me. Warm. Moving good. Not moving bad. That was the logic. The sun burned. Then started to set. The day ended as abruptly as it began. And I knew night was coming again. No shelter. No tent. Not even a rock to crawl under. Just sky and thorny bushes and air that was getting colder by the second. I wasn't going to make it to people that day. By evening, the wind picked up. Sharp. Biting. I curled into a ball. Like maybe if I made myself small enough, the things that hiss, snarl, and stalk wouldn't notice me. First came rustling. Then crunching. Then the smell, like something tearing apart a dead raccoon in the bushes. I froze. Held my breath. Listened. Coyotes. Probably. Maybe something worse. I knew they rarely attack people. But knowledge doesn't keep you warm. Or safe. I held a rock. Useless. But it gave my hand something to do. I pressed into the dirt. Kept my eyes open. Closed was worse in the dark. At least open, I could see if something came closer. At some point, I started whispering to myself. You're here. You're not dying. You'll get there. You're not home right now. But you're walking toward it. Ellie's waiting. At sunrise, I got up. Well, crawled onto all fours. Then knees. Then legs. Made them work. I still didn't know where I was going. The trail got steeper, then dipped again. Sand filled my shoes. I didn't bother shaking it out. Didn't have the strength. The heat started long before my body cooled from the night. I hadn't eaten. Hadn't drunk. Just step. Then another. Again. Again. By midday I started stumbling. My legs weren't mine anymore. My fingers wouldn't bend. My eyes kept closing as I walked. Then, at one bend in the trail, I just collapsed. When I woke up, the sky was different. Flat. Pale gray. Under me soft. Above me a lamp. And the slow beep of something medical. Voices. Not mine. Is she awake? Just came to. Give her a second. Bruising on the neck. Friction marks on the arms. I couldn't speak. My lips were cracked. My mouth like sandpaper. All I managed to whisper was, Ellie. Someone leaned over. You're safe now. You're in a hospital. I didn't talk because I didn't want to. I literally couldn't. Later, they told me someone found me by accident. Some man. A hiker. He was checking an old route. Saw me in the dirt. At first thought I was dead. Then realized I was still breathing. No ID. No phone. They checked me in as Jane Doe. No name. No history. Just a body. Still warm. For now. The next day I felt a little better. Enough to speak. Barely. Call the police, I told the nurse. Please. Urgent. They came within 40 minutes. 2 officers. A tired-looking woman and a younger man with a tablet. They stepped up to the bed. Molly Corner? I nodded. I'm Sergeant Lewis. This is Officer Draper. You're at Kane County Hospital, Utah. We understand you're weak, but are you able to answer a few questions? Yes, I croaked. I think so. Lewis pulled a chair closer. Can you tell us what happened? How you ended up where you were found? I closed my eyes for a second. Then, husband. T. Darkness. Crevice. They exchanged a look. Lewis touched my arm gently. Try to walk us through it. I swallowed. Focused. My husband. Almost ex. He suggested a trip. The 3 of us. Me. Him. Our daughter. Ellie. She's 7. You agreed? Yes. Do you remember where you went? Somewhere between Zion and Bryce. What happened next? We were in a tent. He asked me to get some air. At night, I drank tea. And then I woke up at the bottom. The bottom of a crevice. Rock walls. He lowered me down. Took the rope. My phone. My water. Everything. Another glance between them. How did you get out? By myself. Next day. Climbed up through a crack. Then found a trail. Walked until I collapsed. Draper was typing. Quietly. No commentary. You said husband. His name? Kevin Corner. We're mid-divorce. Properties being split. You believe he drugged you? I drank tea. Not alcohol. Just tea. Then everything went dark. Then I was surrounded by rock. And your daughter? Ellie. Where is she now? I don't know. Maybe he left her at the tent. Maybe he took her. She's with him. Do you think she's in danger? I hesitated. Inhaled slowly. I don't know. Draper tapped on his tablet. We'll check if he reported you missing. You think he did? If he's trying to cover himself, possibly. If he left with your daughter, he's probably home by now. We'll find out. Okay. I exhaled. Then sat up just enough to whisper. Please don't tell him I'm alive. I want him to think it worked. I want him to relax. Lewis raised her eyebrows slightly. Then nodded. You believe he'll try to erase evidence? I'm sure of it. He planned it all. To the hour. To the sip of water. He never thought I'd come back. Lewis nodded again. We'll note it in the report. Your location stays confidential until we say otherwise. You're safe. Thank you. When you're stronger, we'll go over everything in detail. I nodded. And please find Ellie. I don't think he'd hurt her. But I can't be sure. We'll pass everything to your local department. Pasadena, California, right? I nodded again. They left. The nurse adjusted my said my dehydration was serious, but the prognosis looked good. I stared at the ceiling. Breathing steady now. He thought no one would find me. But I was found. And now, he'll have to answer for it. They discharged me 4 days later. The bruises were still there. My legs bandaged. My head foggy. But I could walk. Talk. And most importantly, think. Kevin still didn't know I was alive. That was my first and only request. Don't tell him. As long as he believed it worked, he'd relax. And wouldn't cover his tracks. Sergeant Lewis came the day before my release. She sat on the edge of a chair, held a tablet, and a coffee she didn't drink. We've started the investigation, she said. As you asked, he doesn't know you survived. How's he acting? She nodded. Calm. Filed a missing person report on the second day. Said he woke up and you were gone. Thought you left. Said your things were missing. He removed them. At night. I remember. The bag was already near the door before he even suggested going for a walk. Louis didn't blink. We're noting everything. Just observing for now. What did he tell Ellie? Said you left. Didn't say where. Showed no concern. Just stated it like fact. I clenched the edge of the blanket. His calm was a weapon. Quiet. Cold. Calculated. He filed to pause the asset division, she added. Court's reviewing it. Fast. Very. They gave me temporary housing. I lay on the bed. Stared at the ceiling. I couldn't sleep. Not because of pain. Because it wasn't over. I got out. But he was still free. 2 days later my phone rang. Molly. Yeah. We found it. The place. It was the one. The crevice. I didn't know how we got there. He drugged me at the campsite. But I remembered how I got out. And I told them everything I could. Where the sun was when I climbed up. The slope. The dust. The trail. Where I collapsed. Where they found me. The police worked backwards from there. Compared footprints. Elevation. Topography. They found it. Near the site were slide marks. Shoe prints. An expert said. This wasn't a fall. Someone was lowered. Deliberately. No safety gear. 3.5 miles from the crevice, a roadside camera had caught a car. Not the plate too blurry. But the shape. The color. The make. Everything matched. It turned out to be a rental. Reserved 2 weeks before the trip. Through a third-party site. Paid in cash. But the account was under his name. His license. His driving history. He didn't think anyone would dig. He was sure I wouldn't come back. A ranger remembered him. Not immediately. But well enough. A man. Neat. Polite. Asked about trails away from the tourists. Looked at maps. Marked things on his phone. I thought he just didn't like crowds, the ranger said. Now he thinks differently. The search at Kevin's house turned up more than anyone expected. In the garage. A backpack. Printed maps. Google route markings. Handwritten notes on elevation and drop points. One map had a label on it. Night/moon phase/isolated. On a shelf. Packaging for a climbing rope. In a drawer. An empty box for diphenhydramine. Sleep aid. Works best in hot liquid. Especially if the person drinking it doesn't know. My toxicology report confirmed it. Traces of diphenhydramine still in my blood. 3 days later. It wasn't one perfect piece of evidence. But the picture was complete. And it was clear. When they told him I was alive, he said nothing. Louis said he just stood there. Silent. Then, that's impossible. Then, she must have run off and made this up. Then, I didn't do anything. I was asleep. Woke up, she was gone. They arrested him. The official charges. Attempted murder. Deliberate endangerment. Fraud, trying to freeze shared assets. He claimed it was all a mistake. That I misunderstood. That stress from the divorce made me imagine things. But the story was too detailed. Too sharp. And the evidence, maybe weak on its own, was deafening together. And then finally I saw Ellie. She stood in the doorway, clutching her backpack like it was the only thing keeping her upright. She saw me. No words. Just a gasp. One breath. Then she ran. I barely stayed on my feet. Mama, she whispered into my chest. Mama, you came back. I nodded, holding her close. Yeah, baby. I came back. You didn't die? No, I whispered. I didn't. I couldn't leave you. And she cried. Loud. Deep. From the gut. I stroked her hair and didn't say don't cry. Let her. Let it come out. I thought you left. I know, I said. I'm sorry. He said you just went away. I didn't. I was coming back to you. The whole time. She curled into me like a ball. You're staying now. Always, I said. As long as you want me here, I'm here. Almost a year passed. Then came the trial. I stood in the courtroom. And told it all. The tea. The way he said let's walk. Waking up on the rocks. With one shoe. Climbing. Falling. Finding the trail. Walking. Because I had a daughter. And you don't leave your child with someone who does what he did. He sat across the room. Didn't look at me. Just sat there. Like none of it applied to him. The judge gave his verdict. 10 years. No early release before 6. Now it's just me and Ellie. We live in a little house on the edge of town. It's not perfect. But it's ours. In the mornings, coffee. I can taste it again. In the evenings, books. Ellie's learning to swim. She draws. Sometimes we laugh. Not always. But when we do, it's real. I look at her. And I know. I got out. Not just from the crevice. From the marriage. The lie. The kind of darkness that pretends to be safe. He said it was for the child. But for her. I survived. For her, I told the truth. And now, we just live. And no one's going to hurt us again. Thank you for staying with me until the end of my story. I told it the way it happened. No polish. No pretending to be stronger than I was. Sometimes strength is just standing back up and moving forward. Even when it hurts. Even when you're scared. I'd love to know what you think. Did I do the right thing? Should I have done something differently? What would you have done if it were you? Leave a comment below. And if this story spoke to you,